Hey, everybody.
Hi, got my kitty.
Hi, I'm Susan. I'm waiting for more folks to join us, especially Taylor. Are you with us? Yay, Taylor. Hey, Taylor. Where are you? There you are. Taylor, can you see us? There we go. Where are you? There you are. There we go.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I had to just invite myself to the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I sent you a thing. You didn't get it? Oh, I sent it to your Gmail, but
Oh, I was just on there and I was like, well,
oh, I am so sorry.
that's all right. We got together.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a million people
Wonderful.
who are going to be joining us, and I apologize if you guys keep hearing beep, 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 beep from my end. I'll mute myself when I'm done introducing our wonderful guests tonight. We have a great crowd. I think 70 people signed up for this, something like that. And usually people will sign up and then they'll get a link and they don't always attend live. But I think that makes you famous from this end anyway. So, a quick introduction. I'm Susan Walkler. I'm just hosting this meeting with Taylor tonight on behalf of Metal Arts Guild of Georgia. And if you guys are here for the first time, welcome. If you know us, thank you for being here. If you don't yet know us and you've never been here before, well, we're in for a treat tonight. And when we host visiting artists, we like to have what we call a sip and saw, which just is a time for us to introduce you to our visiting artist. In this case, it'll be Taylor Saleem, who we have here with us tonight. And it's a chance for you guys to hear a little bit about her history, her work, what inspires her, and then excitingly, what she's going to be teaching for us when she comes here, not this weekend, but the following, right?
Right.
So, I'm sorry, I don't even know what the date is. I have to look at my calendar, but whatever a week from Friday is, a week from this, right?
Yep. 19th.
That makes me irresponsible. Okay. The 19th. Yeah. So Taylor's going to be teaching a 3-day workshop, both virtually and in the studio. And so we have a hybrid model. We have some spaces left in the studio. We have a nice group of people who will be following us from all over the country online. And we are really interested, if you guys like what you see tonight, in hosting more people in our studio, which is like very old school, wonderful, hands-on, completely lovable, huggable time together in the studio at Metal Arts Guild. Hi, Jane. And we have a lot of fun together. Where's Taylor? Okay, sorry. I'm not a Zoom expert, so if I do anything untoward, it's not on purpose. And feel free to coach me if you see me doing something that's not helpful. Okay. And
Cool.
so without too much more delay, I'd like to introduce Taylor. Taylor, I know that you live in St. Louis, right?
Yep.
And that you have young littles that live with you, and yeah, and you seem to juggle it all. At least on the outside, it looks really impressive being a mom and having a family and a partnership with your man and famous artist, and always coming up with really creative, wonderful new additions to your collection. It's just like I never know what's going to come forth, and I love that about you. And I found Taylor, I think, during COVID, like many of us found each other on just looking at other jewelry artists that I admired. And here we are. I reached out to ask if Taylor would be interested in teaching. That was probably about almost a year ago, right? It was a while ago anyway.
Yeah, it was a good while ago. You're right about that.
Yeah, and luckily for us, she said yes. And there's a really cool project that's coming up. But before we get into that, I wondered if you would be willing, I don't mean to be so open-ended, but to share a little bit about yourself, and if you went to art school or you did something else in addition to making jewelry, or if you've always done jewelry, you know, all of that. We're all interested in you in that way.
I had kind of a circuitous path to jewelry. I have a double major in political science and communication. And I was a political intern for about 6 months. I'm sorry, I'm trying to Lena's on it. I was a political intern for about 6 months. I was a courier for a law firm. I thought I'd go to law school. I thought I'd be a social studies teacher. And eventually I was at this job that I was horrible at. my supervisor kept saying, use your creativity. And I was like, but you and I have different ideas of what creativity was. It was like an office job. So I ended up, they said you could take a severance or you can go on probation. And I'd already been there for several years. And I was like, that feels really regressive. So I talked to my partner and husband, Joshua, and I said, I'm just going to stay home. And he said, okay, we'll make it work. So I've been here since. That was in 2011. My daughter was just over a year old. And the first Monday after I was no longer working outside of the home, we made muffins and I set up my jewelry studio. And I'd always been pretty creative. Come from a long line of creatives. My grandma sewed, my mom sewed, my grandfather was an oil painter and a woodworker. My dad has a garden that he started from seed. He starts it in like December every the last few years. So we're just kind of a really creative bunch. So I feel like it was in my blood. I just needed somebody to push me out the door so I would actually make that leap. I worked at a bead store in college, which is how I got into jewelry making. We had this new mall that opened and I was like bebopping around in my college, self. I think I was like 19. And they had a sign in the window that said, now hiring. And I was like, ooh, I like to make things. Ooh, beads. So I go in and I want to say this was like 2000, 2001. And they said, oh, great. Can you crimp and tie off? And like, she said like 7 other things. And I was like, I didn't know what any of it was. I didn't know what any of them meant. I was like, sure, yeah, bro. And they were like, great, come, so you can start next week. So then there wasn't YouTube then or like Google. So I had to go to the library and get all these books about jewelry making and look up what she'd said and try to remember. All I remember was crimp and tie off. I didn't remember any of the other words. It was like, do you know what all these different beads are? And I was like, yeah. So then I had to like study over the weekend and try to figure out what it all was. And that was how I got into jewelry making. So I actually like when people say like learn on the job or on the job training, that was like quintessential on the job training because all the other folks who would come in and would talk about things like by like 2 months in, I could name every single gemstone that we had and where it came from and some of its properties. And back then, silver was only 7 cents an ounce.
7 cents?
Maybe $7. $7 an ounce, which is like basically 7 cents in today's day and age, whatever. And I still have some of those beads. And I wonder what those are worth now. Yeah, so that was how I got started in jewelry making. And I think, so I had that experience on the one hand and like being horrible at working for other people in the other hand. And they sort of came together into 2011. And here I am. That's the long story of it.
Yeah, but that doesn't take into account how you started metalsmithing, does it?
It doesn't, which is so working at the bead store, I met this woman who made lampwork beads. And I was like, oh my goodness, I want to make lampwork beads. I still have them. I was like, I want to make lampwork beads. So I took this lampwork bead class. And
those are great.
I love it. They're like, I call them the carnival. They're just on a piece of leather. So I was like, I want to make lampwork beads. So I took this class. This and casting are the only 2 classes I've ever taken. And while I was there, because you use a dual fuel, the oxygen propane, to make lampwork beads, people were also soldering with those torches and doing metalworking. And I was like, supposed to be in the class with the lamp workers. And I was like, what are you guys working on? What's going on over here? Tell me what that does. And asking questions and just being around the ladies in the studio. It was owned by a woman, run by women. It was very like, just come and absorb as much knowledge as you can. And so that is when I started metalworking, metalsmithing. I was supposed to be in the lampwork class and migrated somehow over to the soldering. And that's how I learned. And thankfully, because I was telling my daughter I could explore and experiment. So that's why I say those are the classes I took was the lampwork and casting. Everything else has been complete experimentation since then. Melting a lot of things, giving a lot of things away that I no longer want in my presence because they're horrible. Um, yeah, a lot of just self-discovery in that process. That's how I started metalsmithing.
That was 19.
Sorry, I think I missed you.
Was that when you were 19 or 20?
No, by then I was in my 20s. Let's see. I hadn't had Naomi yet, so early 20s. I was still working about that time. Yeah, I think I was like 23 or 24 when I took that class.
And so the other things that you've learned, because obviously you have a wealth of knowledge, has just been through your own exploration, or
Yeah,
have you
100%.
ever taken a class like the one you're going to teach?
No, I've never taken. So this is new. Like the everything has been experimentation. Or now that there is YouTube, I do watch YouTube videos. I credit Kate Rishborg from She Used to Be with Beaducation. She taught me how to solder. And when I actually got to meet her in person, I was like beside myself because she never knew she taught me how to solder, but watching her videos was how I learned. Making a lot of mistakes and thankfully being okay with that, like being comfortable with making the mistakes. When I do teach, I say we're very rustic. I love to say what we are doing is rustic and imperfect, and that's the way it's meant to be, because if you nail it the first time, you're never gonna learn. It'll always, you'll just fall back on that happy accident and you won't be able to improve. There's nowhere to improve. There's no way to get better. So, I mean, I've got my first castings were half full. The first stone I tried to set was a turquoise, and it of course cracked right down the middle because turquoise is such a soft stone. And then, what else? I've just done some made some horrible mistakes. There's burn marks all over this floor from dropping things, or I couldn't light my torch the first time I got it. It's just stuff like that. Which isn't for everybody. Sometimes you need somebody there to walk you through, and we all have different learning styles. Mine is seeing and doing. Some people's are auditory, some people are visual. It's just knowing what your style of learning is and going for those things.
So when you teach, do you feel like you can teach to the multitude of learning styles? I mean, doing and seeing is big. Jewelry making is very touchy-feely, and so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then for the people though that need to watch it and see it and wait before they actually do the touching part, do you feel like have the capacity to reach them in their special way?
Yeah, that's good. I think so, because what I usually do is teach a project, so then you see the long-term, the final project.
Okay.
So that I think reaches the needs of people who are visual, or like me, who see a thing and then they can make the thing. So I always teach a project, and then I teach the steps of the project. So I do loads of demonstration so you can see how I do it. I love to hear from people how they would do things differently. Oh, I saw you held that this way, but I hold it this way. I'm like, that's cool. Let me try that too and see if that doesn't help me improve. So I do loads of demonstration. I give lots of time in between steps so that people can try it for themselves. I like to experiment with brass, so it's not as costly as a mistake. So we do that. If you don't feel like you can go all in for silver the first time, let's try to solder it with brass first and then see how comfortable you feel. And then by the end, or people can see I've soldered something down and they might want to look at it, afterwards, or could you show me that one more time? And I'm constantly talking as I'm doing something, now I'm going to put my flux here, and now I'm going to hold my torch like this, and this is the color I'm looking for. So I think it reaches all those different learning styles along the way. And like I said, it's me learning as well, different ways, because I am self-taught. I don't know specific jargon, or I make up words. So I invite lots of people to make up their own words and techniques. And I learn a lot from students. Somebody said, you might like to use a vermiculite board to solder. And I was like, tell me about a vermiculite board. So, and I use that now when I solder. So there's a lot of mutual appreciation, mutual learning, and I think adapting to different people's styles.
It's wonderful to get in touch with as many people as we can and watch them work. And
Absolutely, yeah.
certainly for those of you that don't know the personality of Metal Arts Guild, we're not a snooty bunch. A lot of us have taught ourselves, we've taught each other, we've studied with different people, and we really embrace the however you get there is your way. And we're not caught up in I have to do it this way traditionally because of whatever it is that people think have to be a certain way. We're very interested in people explore. We always end up teaching each other, which is, I think, a really delightful part of the metalsmithing community around the world, really. And so will you tell us a little bit about the project that you're going to be teaching?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So first, my caveat is that I love my rolling pin. I use it daily. I realized, and I didn't realize I use it daily until I broke it and didn't have it like there for me to use. And my husband had to take it apart, and then he had to go get like brake fluid and do all put it back together for me. And I was like distraught because I couldn't use my rolling mill. So that's my caveat, is that I love my rolling mill. And I also love florals and botanicals. I like to, when I go on walks, I like to liberate leaves and flowers from their heartbeat. Their heartbeat. They happen to be. I pay very close attention to their veining, and anyway, I digress. So I thought, why not put those two things together and create like what I'm calling it Roll With Me, because we'll be using the rolling mill to preserve some of those fancy leaves. And summer being like when things are fully alive, leaves are growing, the ferns are unfurling. My hydrangeas, I just liberated some of those because I'm going to cast some of those to bring with me. Those also dry and roll so beautifully because of all the veins. Combining a lot of those things to remember walks or, special moments, and then to wear them on your wrist, because bracelets are, according to my daughter, very on trend right now. Bracelets, that's what she tells me. So that's what we'll be doing is I'm not sure the layout around. So I have started to preserve some botanicals. In my it's just a craft notebook, nothing special, but anytime I find a cool plant, and my husband is also like my hero because he walks and runs almost daily, and he also saves things for me. So like I've got a rabbit's foot fern, I've got some hydrangeas, and I'm always saving them in my craft book. So I don't even use like a fancy flower press. I just put them in here when I find them. And so then I think I've got some Queen Anne's lace in here somewhere. I'm going to bring this with me when I come down. Yeah, there's Queen Anne's lace. Isn't that pretty guy? And I'm going to bring this, and we will practice rolling this through the mill so we can get really good impressions. I do a thing where I roll them through like in a metal sandwich. And then that way I like double my roll. So I get 2 prints from 1 roll. And that way, if you've got like a really cool leaf, you are being able to use it more than once. So I'll show how I do that. We'll make components out of it. Ovals and circles and whatever else. I've started to cut some out. Like there's a little guy there. It's got a flower on him. And then I've got this one's harder to see because it's brass, but I've got some rabbit's foot fern rolled through on my brass. And I did a video, if you all follow me on Instagram, I posted a video today of me with these 2, and I made a sandwich. So you'll see what I mean by my rolling mill sandwich. I've got my 2 rolls. So I'll make components out of those, and we'll just roll all kinds of things through the mill. Like it'll be like whatever, like let's see if it'll roll. Some things roll better than others, but we'll experiment because that's what I do. So we'll do that, and then I'll show you how I make a shadow box. And I've already started amassing my bag of castings. So even virtual folks, my assistant, Lena asked me this earlier today, my assistant will be listing these on my website, and my virtual folks will get a password. And you'll be able to purchase a couple of them. Not a ton, because as you see, I only do small batch. I'm small batch lady. But like here's like a hydrangea. So I'll show you how I make a shadow box. And then you can combine these with your rolled components as a focal. And I'm started on some chain too. I put a little gold fill accent in my chain. So I'll show you how I pull a chain. It's so cathartic to make chain because you're just like repetitive motions. You get into a meditative sort of thing. So that's what we'll do. We'll make a chain and then we'll lay it out and we'll put it all together.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
And what would you say is the skill level that would be appropriate for this class?
I would say adventurous beginners. Like if you at least know how to solder, sweat solder. If you feel like you can solder a jump ring, I think you could tackle this. Because the purchasing of the castings is optional. You don't have to do that. You could just do rolled botanicals in your bracelet. And I think it would make a really beautiful bracelet. You could combine different metals, brass, copper, silver. Those don't require advanced skill to be able to produce those. If you do want to make a shadow box, then you get into it's the same technique you would as making a bezel, not quite as fitted because it's like I've got pictures later of what I'm talking about. But when you make a shadow box, your ring that holds the box is not fitted to the botanical. So there's a little more flexibility with that. But an adventurous beginner, I think, could be successful. And it's always my goal that everybody who is part of my workshops feels successful at the end. And I offer my guidance in any way possible after the class is over. Email me, send me pictures. If you've got a question about something we went over, Taylor, I just can't get this to lay down flat. I'm more than happy to talk through things like that.
I have a question, which would be, could you hold up your rolled botanicals again because they look amazing?
The rolled ones?
Yeah, the component.
Sure can. Do you know what might be easier? Can I do a screen share? Share screen?
Sure.
Okay.
Do that. Tell me.
I got a picture. I made myself a little.
Do I have to let you do that? Do I have to do something?
I don't know. Share screen. Me one participant. Okay.
So do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wonderful. So I got my little mag folder over here. Are you able to see that, my mag folder?
I can't see it. Can you guys see it? No.
Yes. Share. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. Boom. So my rolled botanical. Roll. These guys here are rolled.
Wow.
So that is yarrow. I've got a big pot full of yarrow. So I've got lots of that dried. I'm going to bring that with me down to mag. And you can see I use the sandwich technique.
Mm-hmm.
I had the yarrow in the middle and then my silver on either side. And then I cut out my circles. And that's some kombu that I like to use sort of a watercolor technique, which, if you're at home or later, if you're trying this and you want to throw some kombu on there, that's always an option. So, it's a little bit rustic. It's a lot of fun.
Beautiful.
Simple. Yeah. So that's that. And then did I have another roll? Oh, yes. Okay. So you don't always just have to roll botanicals for the purposes of our workshop. That's what we'll be doing. But I also collect vintage brass filigree and components. And that's what these are, is bits of brass that I rolled through with my silver. And then some beads I did.
Mm.
So those are amazing to use the brass filigree. And then here's a shadow box with earrings. So we'll be adding some of those as
Cast.
they are cast. Those are cast. I want to say those are chamomile, and I will have a few chamomile available if anybody wants to add some of those to their bracelet.
There's about 80 million dried hydrangea trees in my neighborhood. You want me to pick some of those and bring?
Yes. There's so many different kinds of hydrangea. Like I've got little bitty tiny ones. Like they're so tiny.
These are the big oak leaf ones that are dried now. Let's see.
These are so tiny. I've got these. I've got great big ones. There's all sorts of any hydrangea works wonderfully.
And do you only roll dry plants, or if you figure out?
I only roll dried ones because those ones, when they're dehydrated, it's kind of like when a body's dehydrated, your veins pop out more.
Right.
So those work best. So even if you bring them not dried, I'm gonna bring what my daughter calls Little Steamy Wonder, it's an iron, and I'll show you how to dry them quickly with the iron. It's just a dry iron on paper, 15 seconds, and it dries them out. Let's see. This guy I like because it shows a bunch of the techniques that we will be using. So there toward the center is yarrow, and then a yarrow bud in a shadow box. Wow. And then handmade chain. And these are some fossil ferns that I set.
Beautiful.
This is from a couple years ago. So, you know, some of these basically these components are what we'll make together. Here are a few of my castings that I'll have. Let's see. Chamomile, zinnias. I think these are chrysanthemums. So I'll have all of those available.
Lena's asking what gauge metal you use. I'm assuming she means for your roller printing.
For rolling, 22. It's 22. Anything thinner than that, there's some like physics or something involved in the whole thinking of it, which I really do love physics. I love physics a lot. But not everybody does, and that's okay. However, there's some sort of physics involved where the denser the metal is, the more area you have to spread apart. So if I've got like my plant here, if my metal is too thin, it doesn't have very far to print, like impress, and so you won't get a good impression. But if you have a slightly thicker, I find 22 to be not too expensive. You've got a lots of depth to roll into. So that's why I like 22. Brass or silver, I'm using 22. Thank you. Good question.
More questions from folks joining us tonight?
I had something I was gonna. Oh, my brass filigrees. I got more of those.
I want to see what those look like.
Yeah, here's one.
Oh, those are cool.
Victorian. I think I got this on Etsy. From like just a vintage shop. They had like shoes and clothes and all sorts. But I saw these and I was like, ooh, I like that pattern. So I got those. And then I think this was an earring component that I had for some reason, but it's got really pretty filigree in it. So when I roll this through the places where there's negative space, well, the silver will sort of push into those and you'll end up with a raised texture when you use something like that.
Someone was asking, they said that the yarrow looked like it was maybe etched rather than imprinted. Is that the question?
Nope, it's etched. All right, it's rolled. Rolled through. I might have a piece in here I can do even a demo. Let's see.
It says look like relief versus imprint. Is that a different rolling technique?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'd have to look up the terms.
I think relief maybe like etching.
Oh, no, it's rolled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some.
So you got the most deepest, beautifulest impression doing that, especially. Yeah, with such a delicate plant.
And I think that it's because it's dried, and I keep it in my book so it dries flat. And for silver, when you anneal it, you make it just a little bit softer so that it'll grab onto that impression. Oxidizing and buffing it carefully helps to, you're just sort of taking off the topmost layers of color. So you can get a really good roll. Okay, here, I got some silver here in my yarrow. So what I'll do is I can do a little demo. So this one will be a little less of a double because, okay, don't make fun of me. This is all the silver I have. It's little piece.
Melting down some silverware or something like that.
I'm gonna have to. I melted a whole lot of scrap today and rolled out silver to do, to make some stuff out of. But I just made my Rio order. I was on vacation last week, and so I was like, silver schmilver, I don't need it. And then I was like, ooh, I actually do need it. So that was mine. Okay. Trip over across to the other side of the room. So here's my mill. There it is. I have a Pepe 130 millimeter. It's a little bit, it makes kind of a weird noise because I broke it. I tried to put too thick of a piece of metal in there is what happened.
No one ever did that before.
I put too thick a piece of metal in and then it got angry. Let me think.
We do screen share again.
Oh yeah. What do you need? Do you need me to do a thing? Or do you for
Oh, Jane, what did you want her to screen share?
Yeah.
that my demo?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm gonna show you. I'm looking for something to set my laptop on. So you'll be able to see what I'm doing.
Okay, great.
No problemo. Oh, here. Okay, I got a buck. This is me being, when I say like I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants about these things. This is it. You all are getting it firsthand. Okay, so here's my mill. Here it is. Most mills will have kind of a setting on top. I don't know what any of those mean, so we're not going to use them. That's the long and short of that. And so I've got my piece. This is 22 gauge. I've got my 22 gauge. And what I like to do is I start my mill at what I would call 0. So I'm going to tighten my rollers until they're touching. So they're touching each other. So I start at what I call 0, which is probably what those numbers mean, is like you're at 0, or they're like millimeters or some such thing. So we're at 0. And then I have got my yarrow on my silver. And then I'm going to make a sandwich with a piece of brass. This one's good. So I've got my silver here, and here's my brass. I'm making a sandwich. So that then my yarrow is inside that sandwich there. So what I do is I just really slowly open up my jaws on my mill. And I'm kind of testing it to see, is it gonna kind of grab the sandwich, and how much force is it taking to grab that sandwich? So just little by little, I'm opening a little, I'm turning the rollers. I'm opening a little, I'm turning. So right there feels like it's gonna grab it, and I'm not gonna have to fight with it in order to get it to roll. Ooh, so good. Okay. So there's the yarrow.
Can you do it so there's not as much reflection?
Oh yeah, here, let me come over here. All right, let's
So
see.
we're gonna all have to go stay up all night making imprints. Can you guys see it?
No.
Yeah.
I've got an idea. I got an idea. So I'm gonna just oxidize it.
Oh yeah.
Quick, with a little bit of.
Do you use Black Max? What do you use?
Yeah, well, just for demonstration purposes.
Quickie.
Yeah, I like to have black max on hand in case I like missed a spot when I was buffing. But my tried and true is liver of salt. Tried and true. So let's see. I'm gonna use my polishing papers actually. And buff it down. Ooh, she's a good one. So I'm just buffing across it just so you can see the depth. All right, this is not my best polishing job, but hopefully now you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants to know if you can screen share.
Screen share this. I don't know if I can. Let's try this. If I tilt it down, maybe we'll be able to see it a little bit better. No, still bad.
It's just the light shining on it that I think is making it hard.
Yeah. Did I bring my phone in here? I didn't.
Okay.
Well, I will take a picture of it and I'll put it on Instagram.
Okay.
And then that way you'll be able to see it. So I'll put it right here so I don't lose it because that happens.
Yeah, and if you're not already following Taylor, you should be because there's something fun every day almost.
There's nonsense and foolishness.
And little birds. And
I got more of those little birds.
I know. I love watching, like one day it's a shrinky dink and one day it's this beautiful silver. And then you do this thing with beads that a true confession. I love this pair of earrings I bought from you. But you know, one of the reasons I bought them is I had to see how you did it up close. I'm not a beater, so you'll not see me do that. But it was like a curtain rod kind of thing, and it was so cool. And anyway,
I like that. Yeah, it is kind of a curtain rod.
but
I can bring back up that picture I had of those earrings with the yarrow, if that helps folks to see. There they are.
And then do you do your casting at home?
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have a little. In case anyone asked about that, I had a little video that I pulled up. Okay, let's see. So this was my first time casting gold. I sold one kidney and 2 legs so I could buy some gold. And this is right here. So that is, I'm using a propane and oxygen dual fuel tank. And I got the gold comes in like tiny balls.
Right.
That's called casting grain. And I'm melting that with my torch. So that is that step. Of course you closed it, you silly sausage. I closed the wrong one, forgive me. There we go, okay. So that's me melting it. And then it gets to a liquid consistency. Let's see if we can see it.
Are you sharing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Allegedly. This one. Okay, there it is. So it gets to a liquid consistency, which is this here. I apologize for the noise. So the noise you're hearing is both the hissing of the oxygen in my torch and my concentrator, which is an old oxygen, like a respirator tank that you would see in a hospital. So it's really loud. It was really cheap, but it's really loud.
We don't hear it.
And it's so hot that that gold is just becoming basically liquid. And then when it gets to that liquid state, I lift a pin on the side of my, this is called a centrifugal caster. I lift a pin and it's gonna fling the gold into a mold. And those two gross things you see back there are what I use to cast silver and bronze. So each one gets its own little house to be melted in because you don't want to cross-contaminate your metals. You can see the flash of that gold back there. That brightness is the molten gold going into the flask. They're called flasks. So that's the molten gold there, right there in the middle. So that is about 1300 degrees. I cast botanicals hotter than you're supposed to because I want to fill every little nook and cranny in those molds. So there were some succulents in here. I think there was a hydrangea in there, just one, because I mentioned I had to sell both my legs and one kidney in order to purchase the gold.
Yeah,
So that's basically the casting process.
that's so fun. And so that was your class that you took.
That was the one other class I took, yeah, because casting is such an involved process and you have to use quite a bit of equipment. A kiln, a centrifugal caster. You have to have flasks, which are those stainless steel guys. You have to know how to mix the plaster that you pour over it. There was a lot there that I didn't feel comfortable teaching myself. There are a lot of things I'll teach myself, but that is not one of them. So I took a class.
Yeah.
And then I got a small business loan and was able to purchase the equipment. All in all, it was probably about somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 to get all the stuff I needed to start casting. So it's not for everybody, especially because there's high levels of heat. There's, we're talking about flying molten metals.
Right.
So that's why I'm not teaching it. As part of this, we'll work on the slightly lower tech rolling it through, but then that does make it a lot more accessible for a lot more folks to be able to roll through the rolling mill. My first rolling mill was like this $80 used economy. Yeah. And I still got really beautiful rolls with it. So you don't even have to spend a ton of money on a rolling mill unless you are planning to use it daily, like I am. And then it's relatively simple and becoming more common for people to sell their extra castings. My friend Corinne does. There's other folks I've seen them on Etsy. You can buy castings if you want to use those in your work. If you don't yet want to invest in all that equipment to do it at home. Yeah.
Other questions from folks?
Yeah. There's Lena.
Hi.
Friend.
The original yarrow looked like it was raised, not imprinted.
You think so? It's definitely imprinted. It might be because of being oxidized and polished that it got like that, but I assure you, 139,000% they were. Are you talking about the ones on this one?
No, the one you showed us in your studio. You held it up.
Oh, the one I just did?
No, before. Maybe it wasn't yarrow.
Oh.
You know the component that you showed that was a rolling mill component?
Oh, these?
Yeah. Yeah. Show that one close up, if you will, please.
You're right. This one is raised. Where's the one that's not raised? That's not even yarrow.
Well,
no, thanks.
Can't see it.
It's
You're still sharing. We can't see it.
Oh, thank you, Lena. It might be, I don't know what this is. Some dried something. Yeah, that's not even yarrow. Then where'd the yarrow go? I'll have to find it.
So when you say raised, what do you mean?
So this was a botanical that was cast on
Okay.
a piece of um, wax sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you were correct. Lena was correct. This was not. This is raised. The original thing. I see what you mean now. I apologize. But I did do a great big yarrow on silver, and I can't. It's under here somewhere. And then the one I just rolled, I will take a picture of so that it will be easier to see. And then you will see the difference between the raised and not raised.
So just for clarification, since I don't do a lot of casting, when you say raised, you take your botanical, you take your real flower or
Mhm.
your real piece of plant, you put it on a piece of wax sheet, then you glue that and then you cast it.
Yeah, basically. I
You
hold
don't have to tell secrets, but yeah.
in my hands till they stick together.
Uh-huh. You warm them.
I warm them up. Yep. And then I cast that. Mhm.
Okay, so it's like a scrapbook page of a
It
dried.
kind of is. Yeah, that's a really good way to think about it. It's like a scrapbook page. I had another of those that I did with I think it was like this might be a daisy. It's a similar technique where it's raised. You see the center is raised like that. Yeah. So it comes out instead of being into the metal. Yeah, but that's cast too.
You
You
can
can
do
see
it
where
upside down. Yeah.
nubbins from the casting process.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Good question. Thank you. Lena keeps me honest. She also makes me measure, which I appreciate him greatly because I am very much a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. So I'm like, it's about this long, like my thumb length long. And Lena,
How much metal to put? You have to know how much metal to put in your flask. You must measure something.
that I do. Yes, I do weigh when I cast. And gold has made me very honest about my measuring. But when I'm like cutting a piece of silver wire, I'll be like, it's about as long as my thumb, and then I'd like, hold on, let me measure it and see how long my thumb is, and then I will know how long it needs to be. I even got calipers. Like I've got like a digital caliper now.
And I guess you use it, huh?
I do. I've had to change the battery. I've used it so much. So now I actually measure things. Some less seat pants.
Your pants fun.
You know, my pants flying. Yes. Slightly left. Only slightly.
We like the combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other things, questions?
Yeah.
I love hearing about your process and
Going
spending.
with the process or anything. It should be a fun class to see. I'll be interested to see what people bring with them to the studio to try to roll. Just if you think it looks cool, we could try it. I've had the best luck again with yarrow, ferns, and hydrangeas and Queen Anne's lace.
Mhm.
But that's just what's sort of local to me. There could be things in other places that roll beautifully as well. So that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that.
I don't see anything in chat. Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, I know.
Mhm.
One of the questions was, will this video be available for people to watch, especially if they had to work or came late or something like that? And yes, we will put it on our YouTube channel. And last time we did a sip and saw about a week ago, we had trouble getting it to our YouTube channel. So everyone got a link to a Facebook recording that we had up on our website. And if you go to the landing page for our website, you'll see previous sip and saw recordings, which I think is a really nice way to get to know people a little bit and feel their energy before you actually take a class. And this has been delightful. I'm so glad that you were able to do this with us.
Yeah, thanks for working with my schedule. Like I said, I was out of town last week. The kids and I went up to Minnesota to see my friend who had moved about a year ago. and we were on a boat and we went to a Twins game
Oh,
and
how fun.
yeah,
And it probably wasn't 90 degrees, right?
no.
Yeah.
I think it was 75. It was so great.
That's
And
hot.
it's been raining all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody wants to know, do you roll seed pods ever?
I tried one once. It was like some sort of dried thing I got off of a tree that had a seed in the center, and the outside was dried, but I think the seed was still moist, and so it just kind of
Yeah.
added a bit. So I haven't tried one since then. The flatter they are, the better they work. Because if they've got like any kind of like a 3D thing, like a seed, it's just gonna mush it.
Right.
The pressure of the rollers.
But you cast pods?
I have cast pods. Yeah, I've got some poppy pods that I cast.
Those are beautiful.
They're great. Yeah, they're really great.
And then I don't know if you have crepe myrtle trees there, but the seed
Yeah.
pods.
Those are great. Yeah, I have done some crepe myrtle pods. And then something I liberated from the botanical gardens. Some kind of a pod.
Oh, you don't know what it was. The
I
iris,
don't know.
iris pods are really great too. I have a million of those.
And lilac pods are also really good.
Oh, I don't have lilac.
Yeah, I'll have a couple little pods if people want to put those in their shadow box. I think I've got like 2 or 3 in there. I've got like some kind of a succulent pod and some just really small succulents. And I also have some dogwoods.
Okay.
Anybody wants one of those for their bracelet? Yeah, for mag. It's for mag class.
Oh, see? Guess you're coming.
Stockpiling for mag.
We're excited. Anybody else? Questions? If people think of questions, lamentably, I have to go. Thank you. That's what lamentably is. That's a great word.
Lamentably. Oh, that's an ACT word. Nice. Bye-bye.
Lamentably. Anyway, any other questions? If people have questions they didn't think of, can they send them to you either on Instagram or however?
Yeah, absolutely. Instagram's fine. Sometimes if they haven't messaged me previously, I might not get it. But my email is super simple. It's just my name, Taylor Saleem Jewelry @gmail.com. Saleem, Saleem. You could see it there with my name. And those I'll get, no problem. Yeah, and happy to answer any questions. If you're wondering about supplies or, will this rolling mill work? Things like that. And you want to shoot me a picture, I can help out with those.
For anyone that wants to join us in the studio, there's a supply list on our website page. If you look under take a class, you'll see Saleem, Team Saleem. You'll see Taylor's class workshop listed. And if you scroll down, you'll see more information. It'll have a little blurb and then you say more information. You click on that and you'll see all of it. You'll see the supply list that's necessary. And since we're about 10 days out, if you decide you want to join us and you don't have materials, come with what you have and we'll make things work. And then we have a good friend, Dallas, who has a shop upstairs from the workshop at MAG, and he sells supplies as well. So
yep, we'll totally make it.
We'll fix you up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you to everybody. Take a look on our YouTube and Facebook page. We'll send you a link to the recording. If you were on this, we have your contact information and we'll send that to you. It might take a day or two for us to figure out the technical stuff. We're not great at that, but we're still able to do it, and we figure it out along the way.
Totally.
Okay. All right.
Thanks everyone for taking your dinner time to come say hey, and hope to see you in 10 days.
You will.
I'm excited.
Georgia, it's only 98 degrees here.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's not hot. Not hot in the studio. Okay.
That's right. Not hot in the studio.
All righty. Thanks so much to everybody. And if you have questions about Metal Arts Guild, just check out our website, send us a message on Instagram or Facebook or email or info@metalartsguildga.org.
Super. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
So we meet.
Bye.